Nation. The hobby is the people. Weekly news and interviews. It's your number one source. Sports Card Nation. The hobby is the people. Sports Card Nation.
Welcome to another stocked and loaded episode of the Sports Card Nation podcast, the show that brings you all the important hobby news, discussions, debates, opinions, info, and interviews with key hobby and sports dignitaries. Also, if you're good, you know we are going to give away something. Now, here's the guy that wanted the cards more than the gum. John Newman.
Welcome to episode 73 of the Sports Card Nation podcast. Glad to have you back. I hope you all are doing well during these difficult times. But some good news with some states trying to reopen for business. So hopefully we're moving in the right direction. Got a great show for you today. Let me apologize in advance. I have a broken microphone, so I'm doing this the alternative way while I wait for two mics I ordered to come in. And this time I ordered two mics. I figured if one goes down, I'll have another one, so we won't have to do it this way again. I'll try to clean this up, so hopefully when you're hearing this, it'll sound a lot better than I think it does. But that being said, we got a great show for you. Great guest today, Randy Lerch, former 11-year Major League pitcher with the Phillies, Brewers, Expos, and Giants. He wrote a book called God in the Bullpen, and he really put himself out there in this book. We're going to talk about it. He is a recovering addict, but drug and alcohol, but he's been clean and sober now for a few years, and he attributes it to his faith in God that he's still here. He almost died numerous times. We're going to talk about that, but we're going to talk about his baseball career and some funny stories. We're going to talk about Tug McGraw and Pete Rose, and believe me, it's a great interview. Definitely stick around for that. One of my all-time favorites. And Randy's a great guy, and he's helping other people now that are in tough situations. He's paying it forward, as they say, and gotten to know him even since the interview and talked to him off the air quite a bit. We've become actually pretty good friends. So really excited for this episode. Also, I got to welcome a couple new sponsors to the show. And this week, busy week, SGC Grading. I think they don't need any introduction. Happy to have them aboard. I'm sure we'll be doing some giveaways with SGC, maybe some promotions, some discount codes, but happy to have them aboard. I submit to SGC, so again, it's another sponsor that not only do I like them, I use them, and I can attest to the product. And no shilling here. So glad to have SGC aboard. We'll be hearing from them throughout the year as we go along, and so real excited for that. Also, another sponsor I want to welcome to the show and to the Sports Card Nation family, Pastime Marketplace. They do speaking of graded cards, they do graded card cases, carrying cases, and I tell you what, I checked out their line. They're impressive. They're waterproof, dustproof, secure. These things are great to protect your greatest cards. I mean, if you're going to put your best cards in something, you might as well put it in the best cases. And they're right there. And glad to have them on the show, part of the show. And I've said this numerous times. I'll say it again. Pardon me for doing it again. But, this show is not possible without a lot of people, quite frankly. From you listening, starts right there. You guys are right on the front lines that allow me to do this show. But the sponsors allow me to do the show as well. But giveaways, costs, they make it happen too. And so happy to have SGC and Pastime Marketplace part of the family. Welcome. Glad to have you. And a little birdie told me that there'll probably be a giveaway or two from Pastime as well. So stay tuned for that. We love the giveaway stuff on the show, from the sponsors to myself. We even cash sometimes. So, always stay tuned. You never know who's going to win and what. Matter of fact, this past week we just gave away 5 free PSA submissions courtesy of Iron Sports, another great sponsor of the show. So happy to have all my sponsors. They make this possible for you as well. Speaking of the show, our 2 segments that we try to do every week are back this week. They are Rookie Rollercoaster, where we look at 2 rookie cards. This week's 2 cards we're going to look at is the Ja Morant Prism rookie and the Connor McDavid Young Guns rookie. So we'll look at what those 2 cards have been doing in the last 4 to 6 months and see what kind of trends. Again, it was a segment I set up before the sports stoppage, but we're making the best of it with the segment. It'll be a whole lot more fun once we get sports again. But we're going to keep doing what we're doing. And the other brand new segment, What Does the Newman Say? And that's where I take a question that someone asked me off the air, whether it be private message, email, or direct message. I try to pick a good one each week and literally answer it on the show for everyone to hear. So, pretty cool segment. At least I have a little fun with it. So hopefully you enjoy it as well. So more order of business that I want to mention. If you follow us on social media, you probably already saw this. But, we changed our show art on episode 72. And now whoever the guest is each week appears on the cover art in the form of a baseball card, a custom-made baseball card. And I showed the art to my son. I said, what do you think of the new, cover art for the podcast? 20. And he says, oh, it's cool. I like it. Why don't you make the cards like each week? Get some card stock, print them out, exact size. And I thought about it. I said, man, that's kind of cool, kind of a set in the set. So our first guest was Blake Jameson, the Topps 2020 project artist, one of the 20. So he was the first subject, if you will. And so I got card stock, and I printed some of these cards out. I sent Blake some. I included a self-addressed stamped envelope. I'm going to ask each guest, whoever, and future guests as well, I'll send you your cards that we produce for the show, and just send one back. Sign it for me. I'm gonna keep one, signed card of everyone that's on the show, and it's kind of a great idea that my son came up with, and I kind of expanded it from there with getting everyone to sign a card. So each week I'll kind of be posting the uncut sheet and then the cut cards just to highlight the guests and say thank you for them for giving their time. And thanks to my son Jordan, came up with a pretty good idea. So thanks, Jordan. So without any further ado, let's get this show started. Time for this week's incoming product releases. So, again, I got to preemptively say we all know that there's some shipping delays or lack of production due to what's going on with the pandemic. So this schedule is tentative in some cases, not all. So I'm going to mention how it's listed and leave it at that. On the 24th, 2020, Sage Hit Premier Draft High Series Football, which I believe will be unaffected by this, so look for that product on the market. On the 29th, we have 3 products. 2, I think, will not make it to the shelves, and 1 will, and that is 2020 Panini Diamond Kings Baseball. Probably not. 2019-20 Panini Court Kings Basketball. Probably not. And the next one is a go. 2019-20 Upper Deck Ingrained Hockey. And Upper Deck does not use the same facilities that Topps and Panini does. And so they look to be unaffected by any kind of product or shipping delays.
Sports Card Nation podcast is your weekly hobby and sports podcast. Now on tons of platforms including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and many more. Listened to in 44 different countries globally, Sports Card Nation is one of the most interactive podcasts around, providing great content, giveaways, and some of the hobby's best interview guests without time constraints. Thousands can't be wrong. We want to thank all the wonderful listeners around the world, our awesome guests on the show, and our tremendous sponsors making us what we are today. Remember, without you, there's no us.
It's time for What's Cracking. All right, quite a bit of hobby news, even though we have no sports and production delays as far as products go. Let's start out with a not great story. Bowman first edition. So it went on sale between the 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern time slot on Wednesday. Good job by you if you got any. Most people complaining of site issues, server issues, crashes. Many others said they had the product in their cart but were unable to check out. Sounds familiar in the world of online exclusive or window sales, but some people got it. If you check eBay, there are packs for sale for about $40 they're going for. The price from Topps was $14.99 if you were fortunate to get them. I think it's going to be one of those products that you're probably going to have to get on the secondary market. Topps was supposed to be selling them 22nd, 23rd, and 24th here. But I went on today, Thursday, and did not see... there was a server error when I clicked on the link to Bowman First Edition. So not good there. Looks like you're going to have to... If you want some, you're going to have to get out that wallet and pay a little bit more than that $14.99 through Topps. So it looks like it's going to be a hot product. Let's be honest. The demand is overwhelming, at least to Topps' servers. And I think, the big gun in this, I think what most of us know, is Jason Dominguez, the prospect in the Yankee system. So, I'll have to check what those cards are bringing. If anyone, I don't think any product's been opened, so maybe someone's put it on eBay with, assuming they're going to have one. So, Mosaic Basketball did get released, did make it out. I like it. It looks really nice. I'm a fan of it. You got your parallels, your gold, black, and white. I like the name and tails, Mosaic. It's got sort of... it's hard to describe, almost like a kaleidoscope feel to them, but done in a tasteful way. I'm going to probably be trying to acquire some more and some key singles from that product. I think it's going to be one of those products that kind of sneaks up on people and may catch a few people by surprise. So thumbs up on the Mosaic. It's NFL. We're all hankering for some sort of sports. Well, it's one of my favorite days of the year. It's probably already, it might be in the second round by the time you hear this, or even over by the time you hear this. But the NFL draft is going to be starting Thursday night. And I'm a huge football guy, as many of you know, and love the draft. The draft is like a holiday to me and my son. We both get into it. We're both huge football guys. We order some pizza, some wings, watch the draft, talk about it, have a good time. It's an event here at the Newman household, and so I'm excited. Probably even more so without there being sports. We're missing something. We had the Jordan Last Dance, but to me, being a huge football guy, this is a big party for me. It'll be interesting to see how they do it without being able to do it in crowds and how that plays out. with remotes and Zoom and who else knows. I know Roger Goodell is going to be in his basement. I'm hoping, while he's filming and maybe conducting the draft, I'm hoping maybe his wife opens the door from upstairs and says, "Dinner's ready, Roger." That would be great TV. I'm hoping that happens. I got a feeling it won't. But that being said, Panini is doing their instant draft rookies online instant cards, and $9.99 a piece. It can get as low as $4.99 or $4 if you buy enough quantities. These will have no production delays. Their instant products are not produced at Cardamundi, so this should not be affected by the work stoppage at Cardamundi. So NFL draft, instant draft, Panini will be produced once we see where these guys wind up after the draft is over. So there's going to be also random, they're not going to be random, but greens to 5 that you can purchase, and black 1-of-1s. And I mentioned Michael Jordan's Last Dance. Let's talk a little bit about that. Obviously, huge ratings, huge hit. I know very few people who didn't watch it. It's obviously very popular. I think it would have been popular no matter what, but with the lack of active sports, even more so. And obviously, Michael Jordan cards are just crashing through the ceiling and selling for outrageous amounts of money. I don't have much left myself because of it. By the way, a little shameless plug. I'm going to do a Michael Jordan podcast segment on our little brother podcast, Hobby Quick Hits. Hobby Quick Hits can be found anywhere, any other podcast, all the major platforms. And episode 10 of Hobby Quick Hits will be pertaining to the MJ phenomenon going on. And I'm going to talk more about specifics and when to sell and different things like that. So look for that probably early next week, Monday or Tuesday, the 25th, 26th, 27th, whatever it is, last week of April, probably Monday or Tuesday. So we're going to just talk about the whole effect that the show is having on the Michael Jordan card market. So I mentioned Panini earlier. Panini good news with the NFL Instant being able to come out on time. There's some Panini bad news, unfortunately, as well. And that's Panini announced that they quietly announced, truthfully, they didn't really announce, just kind of came out from a user who tried to redeem an expired redemption. And in the past, Panini has worked things out for those, even though they're expired, either with that card or maybe a replacement. And a gentleman tried to redeem a expired redemption card, and he was informed that the new policy that Panini has enforced is that they will not redeem any expired redemptions. So sad to hear that. Not really great PR or customer service, but not the first time that and Panini can be used in the same sentence. I thought, I think the timing of it, I get it. I know maybe their stock is depleted. I'll stick up for them in that regard. Maybe they don't have a lot on reserve, although I find that hard to believe. But again, I'm not behind those closed doors. But something can be done. Why not? You can't give someone a card for their expired redemption. Give them 150, 250 Panini points. It's something. These are your consumers. These are your future buyers. And again, folks, this goes back to what I've said from day one with us just consuming these products and selling them out and buying them up before they even hit the shelves and breaking servers and crashing systems. They're making money hand over fist. And they don't, I don't want to say they don't care. I think they care, but they don't, they know they're going to, that person's probably going to be the first one in line to buy Panini products. So, again, mass consumption of this has caused these sort of attitudes or whatever, we're not doing this for you type of responses. And I think it's, par for the course in this case. And, to Panini, Topps, hey, I'll put you on blast. Take a look at how Upper Deck conducts their business and their online presence. I mean, they have accounts that are just for customer service, that like people's posts, retweet, promote the product, help people out, answer questions. Take a page. And, with people working from home, you could have people working from home fit in that role. So no excuses. Not good by Panini. Bad job by you. But, hey, that's par for the course in the hobby where everything just gets consumed. So let's talk about, while I'm on a roll, let's talk about Atlantic City. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but not looking good for the convention. Right now, the convention center itself is a FEMA field hospital and triage center, so they're caring and tending to COVID-19 patients and personnel. But a lot, we still got a few months, but we are slowly running out of time, unfortunately. So I don't know if we're going to get a national, if they're going to try to push it back. That may be difficult as well with scheduling issues and the like. And, hopefully we get some good news. But, if we were putting odds on it, if we were in the betting sort of game, not looking very likely. But, again, time will play that out. So let's finish on a couple better notes. Topps 2020 project doing very well on the secondary market. Many cards are appreciating in over initial price. And so for as many people kind of criticizing the cards, myself included, I criticize a few of the artists. I actually don't know who it is, but there's one artist that's just basically darkening the outlines and submitting. That's the art. Again, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and probably better than anything I could do. Truth be told, I understand it, but some of these artists are really putting in the work and effort, and others look like it's done rather quickly and haphazardly. But again, to each their own. I hope you got to catch Blake Jameson on episode 72 last week. He's one of the commissioned artists and doing a great job. I bought my first today. Matter of fact, I bought my first 2020 project card, and that card was his version of Jackie Robinson. If you've heard this show or know me a little bit, I'm a huge Jackie Robinson guy, being from Brooklyn. When I was a kid, every book report or essay I did was on Jackie, and I've gotten to know Blake a little bit. Good guy, and definitely had to pick up his Jackie Robinson version. I got a place on my desk right here for when it arrives, all set. Thank you, Blake, for the great work, and thanks for coming on last week. And I get emails, almost every day or every other day that are compliments toward the show. Hey, I listened to the show, and what I want to start doing is acknowledging some of those people who took the time to get to a computer or their phone, open up an email platform and send me a note like that. And I don't want the whole show to be like that. I'm not going to read every one, but I got one the other day that really kind of hit me in the feels, as young kids say. And I don't know, maybe it was a moment I wasn't in a great mood. Something might have happened at work. I can't remember all the details. I was kind of feeling a little bit down, and I got this email, and it really kind of made my day. And so Mike wrote this email. It says, "Hi, John. I just wanted to tell you I really enjoy your podcast and look forward to them every week. You're very, very knowledgeable in the hobby and always have interesting topics that you discuss. Keep up the good work and stay safe. Thanks, Mike." And so, Mike, thank you. And I want to take this opportunity, segue off of that email, and just say, a lot of work goes into this podcast, and again, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. And it's doing very well, but I do it. What drives me is stuff like that: the feedback, the positive reviews, knowing what I'm doing is fruitful, people enjoy it, and maybe someone else is not having a great day, and the podcast maybe cheers them up a little bit, or enhances their day in some form or fashion. And when I got that email, I was a little bit down. I don't even remember the specifics, and that's the stuff that really, when I'm editing and putting this show together and splicing this and putting that and adding this and doing the interviews and coordinating all that, I think, it sounds cheesy, but hey, there's someone expecting this show on Friday, and I'm going to get it out to you. And you guys drive me, and I want to say a sincere thank you. I'm not going to drone on, but I love that feedback, whether it's in email form or text message or direct message. Let me know what you think, good or bad. That was a good email, which is what I usually get. But hey, you didn't like something, you didn't agree with something, let me know that too. It's important. This is your show. This is for the people. Like the tagline says, the hobby is the people. When I came up with that tagline, that wasn't a gimmick. That was our tagline from episode 1, and it's something I've always felt. Being in the hobby almost 40 years now, on various sides of the aisle, as a collector, as a dealer, as a grader, as a shop owner, as an online seller. I mean, I've wore a lot of hats, and everyone, all the hats that we all wear, we are the hobby. The hobby is the people. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Little mushy moment here to close out what's cracking, but it's genuine, and it's how I really feel. And if you're listening, whether it's this episode for the first time or all 70-something, it's those listens and those listeners, you, that allow me to do this show. And for that, I'm very appreciative. So I wanted to talk about a new marketplace that is about to hit the sports card scene, and it's called StarStock. StarStock is building a sports card marketplace aimed to be faster and cheaper for flipping sports cards than any other platform. This is a ground level moment in the hobby, and StarStock is currently looking for people who want to be the first to sell their cards at launch of this new platform. It's due to launch in April this year, and here's what StarStock is offering you. 5% commission, no ingestion fees. You send in your cards, they do all the work and post them up for you. Cards are guaranteed and secured in their vault. Cards need to remain in the vault for trading. You can choose to ship your cards back at any time you'd like. StarStock will be a flipper's paradise. You can buy, flip, store, or ship cards with the click of a button. StarStock is only looking for sellers with rookie cards and or prospect cards of current players. For more details, that email again is mike@starstock.com. Or you can follow them on Instagram at StarStockMarket, all one word. That's at StarStockMarket. Real happy to have my next guest join me on the One of One Card Shop guest line. He is a veteran of 11 Major League Baseball seasons with the Phillies, Brewers, Expos, Giants, where he amassed 60 wins, over 500 Ks, and a .966 fielding percentage. Also quite a great hitter. An author of a book called God in the Bullpen, where he talks about his trials and tribulations and addiction with drugs and alcohol that nearly cost him his life. And so I'm happy he's here. Randy Lerch, welcome.
Well, thank you, John. It's a great honor to be on your show, and especially a card show where there's a lot of baseball sports card collectors out there. The collectors are still they have the passion for the game, so it's an honor, buddy.
First off, congrats on sobriety. I want to start off with there. How long has it been now?
It's 3.5 years.
God bless you.
3.5 years it was the toughest thing in the world, and 3.5 years of some of the best times of my life, my friend.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking.
Well, congratulations. And that's why the book is tremendous. I know we talked a little bit before we actually started recording. I read it a couple days. It was that good. I just couldn't put it down. And you really you didn't leave anything to chance. You put I commend you for putting yourself out there. I look at this book as someone who may be a little bit down on their luck or feeling like maybe they don't have an answer or there's no hope. I think this is the kind of book someone can look at, read, pinpoint, and use as an inspiration. I mean, it's just, again, I was enthralled by being a baseball fan, just seeing some of the in terms of the baseball world stuff, a little bit behind the curtain, if you will. But the main crux is where you are today in relativity to where you were at certain points during your career, baseball and then after baseball. Just tremendous inspiration. The one thing, you mentioned in the book, you have great parents, a great upbringing. What was the biggest factor, do you think, to maybe getting off track, with that being said?
As I look back on it, John, I think that probably I was a goody two-shoes in high school, and I had never been out. When I made it to the major leagues, I was just 20 years old.
Yeah.
And our team, the Philadelphia Phillies, was all a team of veteran players and players that were pretty much bigger than life. And we had players that I looked up to, and so as I put in the book, I started taking amphetamines after one of my teammates said that it's a long schedule, 162 games a year. And you seem to get tired, you will get tired over this a year's time, and you're never going to make it unless you take these greenies, these amphetamines. And I thought, well, if this player who had a lot of success said to do that, then I'm going to do it. But, of course, I didn't think about the side effects or repercussions of it, that you take amphetamines and then it hikes you up. You're not under the control. The discipline you have on the mound, along with after the game, you can't sleep. And I found that the only way I could sleep after the game was drink a lot of alcohol. Yeah. And it just snowballed from there and got out of control and almost killed me.
Yeah, well, thankfully it didn't, and so we can talk about it now. If anyone that reads the book, you had some moments where you really hit rock bottom. You yourself said you didn't think you were going to make it. You didn't think you were going to survive. But I know God is a big force in your life. Obviously, that was a big factor into how you survived and got through it. What else? It can't, I'm sure it can't be just that. I mean, it could, but I'm sure there was other things that got you through those moments as well.
Well, I'd like to say it was pretty much, it was God. After I was diagnosed with cirrhosis, and I pretty much had a death sentence when I got to the liver specialist after my career was over. Actually, it was about 4 years ago where I pretty much had been given a death sentence. The doctor told me that, I could go into liver failure at any time. And as I look back on the things that I went through, a lot of times people can say, well, that was by chance or you were lucky. And you can only attribute luck to so many things. But then, when as people read the book and you see time after time after time how I was able to come out of these things. And I actually, people say, well, what was the best way you describe your book? And I would say it's you and I were talking about earlier, John, is a book of hope. And it's a book that could give people hope through God's love and grace. And this hope could be described, or could be given or gotten. Someone can achieve this and use it through a lot of different things, trials and tribulations you go through in your life, including what we're going through right now. But I'll tell you, when I look back on everything and killed by a Great Pyrenees dog along with everything else. It's pretty much, it was my perseverance, but I want to give God all the credit that he.
I think it's that's a partnership. You gotta, like the old adage goes, you gotta be willing to accept the guidance and help, and you obviously were enough to pull through. I gotta ask you, here you are, a pretty successful major league player. Then the music kind of stopped. You had to kind of get a 9-to-5 job in the construction field. You had a couple decent contracts, and then you had to, work in a sense a normal job, if you will, at a wage that you maybe weren't used to. How talk about the transition from Major League Baseball player to everyday worker, and with the construction. How difficult? I mean, you worked your way right up through that field, but to start there at the bottom, being from a professional athlete, how difficult was that?
It was tremendously difficult, especially in those days. The scouts and the major league teams wanted players to come out of high school. They believed that if you came out of college, that they felt like the college way kind of ruined the players. So they wanted to get the players before in their mind, was tainted in any way. So I didn't have a college education. Yep. When my career ended, all that I knew was from the time I was, in high school, and then the minor leagues and the major leagues was baseball. So when that all ended, it was me out in the real world. And in those days, people think that Major League Baseball players made a ton of money and were really rich, because now the players have been making millions and millions of dollars for a lot of years. But in those days, just the minor leagues, which they don't make a lot of money now in the minor leagues, but a lot more. But in the major leagues, the signing, my first contract was $19,500 a year. Yeah. And so I didn't, when my career ended, I had to go to work. And I didn't know what I was going to do. Again, I had no college education. And I had tried a lot of different things before I finally stepped into the construction industry. I had installed auto glass windshields. I had tried to be I worked as in the restaurant business. As far as bartenders and just stuff like that. And it took a long time for it to click in the construction industry, but it was a lot of heartache in between.
Well, that's the other thing. Even, you kind of, with your baseball career and the construction, I saw sort of in reading the book, I saw sort of a parallel there, not super highly touted, but you built your career up, became highly sought, and made yourself a Major League Baseball player, and a pretty good one, by the way. And same thing with the construction industry. Your job there, you kind of started from the bottom, and then basically became an executive, a supervisor. And I don't know about you, but in reading the book, I saw a parallel there as someone who does persevere. Sure, there's some low moments, but you fought through them, you got through them, and still managed to move, up where you needed to get to. And I anyone that reads that or knows about that can use that as sort of point to that as maybe inspiration to keep going, keep at it, and eventually, hopefully, you get there.
Yeah, I agree with you. One thing I wanted to point out, John, was that when I was in high school, I was a high school All-America baseball player. I was one of the best baseball players in the country, and then in the minor leagues, I every stop I hit, I even was minor league pitcher of the year. But I led the minor leagues in pretty much every category every year. I made it to the major leagues at 20 years old. Yeah. And I was at the top of my game, and I had won the first 5 out of 7 games that I started in the major leagues before I had started taking the amphetamines. And one thing I want to point out, and I think the book points out crystal clear, just how bad drugs and alcohol are for people. And I wanted to, like you and I talked about before we came on the air, was that, it's because the book will be good for young people that are, maybe, just getting ready to graduate high school or into the college. The downfall and what drugs and alcohol can do for you, because I had a talent as a left-hander. I threw the ball 95, 97 miles an hour and was on my way to a great career. And then I made the worst choice that I'd ever made in my life. And it's hard telling what I could have done if I didn't stoop and take those darn drugs and alcohol. I mean, it's hard. It's hard telling what I could have done, but it sure did take from me a lot, my friend.
Well, I think, even with the book, Randy, you're still contributing. If like the old adage goes, if you help one person or save one person, that's going to be bigger than any home run you could hit or win you can get on the mound. And I think your book can have that kind of impact.
The impact has been amazing. I didn't know how I was going to promote it. I had been approached by some smaller, not big-time publishers, but they wanted to change the writings in the book and things that I had, when I put personal stuff in the book to the way they wanted it to come out. And I actually didn't spend one day writing, which the book took me a year to write, along with Harold Lerch, the author, who is we're not related. It's amazing, but that's God's divinity right there. But when I wrote the book, I just wanted to make sure that I got out there and I wanted to make sure that nothing was changed in the book, and that what I had put in there was God's word talking.
Yeah.
God's word talking.
And accurate. And one of the things I read, and I remember, even though I was a young boy at the time, I remember bits and pieces of it. In 1981, and I'm going to say you courageously, testified against the Phillies team doctor at the time. Talk about how difficult of a decision that was to do when many other players chose either not to or not to do anything, and or maybe it wasn't a difficult, being a man of faith. Maybe you just knew it was the right thing to do. Talk a little bit about that process.
Sure, no problem. What happened was in those days, taking the amphetamines was real prevalent to the players throughout the league, and it kind of like steroids got in the steroid era, and it turned out that it got out that there was a doctor writing prescriptions by the players asking for the prescriptions, and he was doing it as a favor, and it got out that he was doing it, and the federal government got a hold of it and decided that he was probably just writing these prescriptions as a profit, and when in fact he was doing it as a favor, and they took it to court, and my teammates got up there and didn't tell the truth and said they had never met the doctor before, and it was going to take maybe put him in jail and of course destroy his his medical practice and career. And after it was done, and when it was my turn to testify, I threw it all on the line, and I told the truth. I told him that I had gotten a prescription from him, and that basically had asked for it, and they threw the court the case out, but it pretty much destroyed my career in a lot of ways, because every time I would have a bad game, they thought, well, he must be taking those drugs again, when it wasn't true. So But that goes, John, that goes to my upbringing. My mom and my dad always taught me to tell the truth, and I just believed if how could I look this doctor in the eye and you know, and lie and put him you know, his practice and everything, you know, destroy all of that, and how could I live with myself? So I told the truth and paid for it.
Yeah. Well, you know, I as someone who tells the truth as well, you know, in reading that, you know, again, as I was 9 at the time, so I remember it as a young kid, which, you know, is a lot different than as an adult, and then reading it, you know, the thing I took is here's a man that's going to get on this, you know, like you just said, a man, you know, that's going to tell the truth. You were raised to be honest, to tell that truth. Even knowing that it may affect you negatively, you still did the right thing, as they say, and that says a lot about the person. Even with some of the other warts, that tells you a lot about that individual, that you know, you're willing to risk your own personal accolades potentially by doing the right thing. And so that's a testament to Randy Lerch.
I want to add, John, that I held that secret for 40 years. I never even told what people are going to read in the book is what happened, and that's the time that story was told in 40 years. I, to this day, haven't mentioned any names and will not do that. It's not, with the book is a book of help, to help others to not go through what I went through, whether it's drug and alcohol or what everyone's going through right now in this horrible pandemic times. That, you know, God's grace is God will always be there for you.
We're going to step away for a quick break, but when we come back, more with Major Leaguer Randy Lerch. Pastime Marketplace offers a line of durable graded card cases made for collectors who want high-quality graded card storage that is virtually indestructible. Their cases are waterproof, dustproof, airtight, and designed to protect your valuable collection. Check them all out at www.pastimemarketplace.com. Protect your best with the best. The interview with Randy Lerch continues. This book, you know, whether it doesn't have to be necessarily drugs or alcohol, whatever adversity you might be dealing with, you can still look, you know, to how you overcome it as inspiration. A player in person that came up quite a bit in your book, and I know he meant a lot to you personally and baseball career-wise. I wanted to touch on him. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention him, especially being a Mets guy too. Tug McGraw, very important in your life. Can you speak a little bit about Tug and your relationship and what he meant, you know, on and off the field?
Yeah, no problem. I'd be happy to. Tug McGraw was somebody, and he wasn't the guy that got the greenies from. I stated that in the book, but Tug McGraw was always there for me. From the time I was trying to make the Phillies, which I did in 1977, I made the team, and Tug was kind of the first one that razzed me as a veteran player, telling me that he was don't think about taking his job, you know, and the goofball that he was. And then I told some funny stories in the book about, you know, what he did. But in the end, after my career was over, when I was in real big trouble, you know, on the verge probably of being incarcerated and penniless, Tug, when he was having some of his own personal problems, you know, sent me money for a plane ticket and put me up in his house, and through him and Larry Christensen, ended up actually getting me my first construction job. That's where it all started. That Tug McGraw pretty much gave me he guided me. He was there to show me how to love the game in the big leagues when you had ups and downs, and showed me how the game is fun. Where so many times, you know, you look at the game, you start as a kid, start to look at the game as a job, which is that's the worst thing that could happen. But Tug showed me how much fun it was, and then after I retired and got myself in real big trouble with the drugs and alcohol. When I was at my worst stage, Tug was there for the save, as we can say.
Yeah, just add another one too. Is impressive. Total, rest his soul. And it was nice in reading that you had someone like that, sort of a mentor, a very good friend that could come to your aid when you needed it the most. And I definitely wanted to make a point to have you talk a little bit about Tug the Man, and so thank you for that.
Well, thank you for asking, John. I mean, what he did for me was the only word I can describe it, is selfless.
Yeah.
He's selfless.
Yep. All right. Let's get a little bit. Let's talk about your career. I people who listen to the show or have even just heard this episode have gathered I'm a Mets fan. You really did a doozy against my Mets. You were 8-3 with a 3.64 ERA lifetime. I'll call you a Met killer. Did very well against them. Toughest hitter? I know you probably get asked some of these questions probably multiple times, and maybe you've answered them multiple times. Who, in your mind, who was the toughest hitter you've ever had to pitch against?
Let me think about that. And while we're thinking about that, when you said the Mets killer and Tug McGraw being coming from the Mets, and you got to believe and all that.
Yeah.
I tell a story in the book where when I was called up at the end of the season, we played the New York Mets, and I remember it was Ed Kranepool, and it was a Rusty Staub, and there was one other hitter that I played against. But I remember Tug was in the Phillies dugout. He was as close in the dugout as he could get to home plate, so he could harass his old teammates. And I remember he called him Craney. Ed Kranepool was up starting to get me hit against me, and him being a left-handed hitter, and me being a hard-throwing left-handed pitcher that Kranepool didn't know. And I remember Tug yelling at him, and I didn't know Tug. I mean, what the heck is he doing? He's saying, Craney, and he's motioning to him, watch your chin. And then I could hear Tug yelling at him, he's wild, don't, And Kranepool was the first one. He stood there, and it was we call it good morning, good afternoon, good night, strike one, strike two, strike three. And here comes Rusty Staub, another left-handed hitter, strike one, strike two, strike three. They never even got the bat off the shoulder. Whatever the third hitter was, I think I threw like 9 pitches or 10 or 11 or 12 or something. And it was the easiest strikeout I had ever had. It was I think Kranepool was my first major league strikeout. It was because McGraw was
got in his head.
I didn't know where it was going, and I was going to end up killing him. So that was a great Tug McGraw. There's another one that I tell about in the book, and as far as the Mets, and tell me the second half of the question again, John.
So and I love that story. And apparently, Tug got in their heads. You needed him there every inning. You would have been getting in everyone's heads. But the toughest, in your opinion, the toughest hitter you had to pitch against.
Well, you know what? I got the one that there was a lot of tough hitters. I mean. I used to tell stories about, they said, well, was it tough to pitch against this team or that team? And I don't know how it is now, because I know that the players are more into hitting the home runs. They swing lighter bats. They try to lift the ball. But, when I was playing, I would say, well, how would you like to do this if you were a pitcher? Let's see. Let's go into Pittsburgh, and let's face the Pittsburgh Pirates with Willie Stargell, Dave Parker, Rennie Stinnett, all these guys, Al Oliver, all these guys. And when they get done pounding on you, then you can go into Los Angeles with Dusty Baker and Garvey and Lowe's and Say and all those guys. And then when they get done pounding on you, you can go into Cincinnati. And I finished up in Cincinnati, with Johnny Bench and George Foster and Concepcion and all these guys. But, when I pitched against Pete Rose, I remember when Jim Longmore, who won the Cy Young with Boston Red Sox, he was on the Phillies team, and what a great human being he was. And his name, everybody called him Lonnie. And I said, well, Lonnie, how the heck do you get Pete Rose out? He goes, Randy, I had the same problem, because I would try to throw the ball away from him, and he would just take it like the baseball was a tennis ball, and he had a badminton racket in his hand. He would just serve it. He would serve it wherever he wanted. Just sit there and wait for it to get on top of him, and he didn't try to overswing or anything. He just would serve it. He goes, Randy, he just served it everywhere. He said, just throw this thing right down the middle, and you hit the hell out of it, and right at somebody. Yeah. And so I would say Pete Rose was, because you couldn't strike him out. He didn't swing his best pitches. He just, wherever you pitched it, he hit it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. When you saying Pete Rose, that was someone I thought you might, mention if you mentioned more than him or more than one. So, and watching him even as a younger baseball fan, like you said, he just hit it where it was pitched. He didn't really. Other players would probably get frustrated. They didn't get the pitch or the zone they're looking for. He just kind of went up there, sort of open-minded, and said, I could pretty much hit it wherever you want to put it as long as it's a strike.
Yeah, you couldn't get it by him, and I've got a cute little story about Pete Rose. I'm sure the collectors out there and the fans, when especially in a major league clubhouse, there's so much pressure. They go out there and pitch in front of 50,000 people on national television a lot of times, and so everybody's in the clubhouse cutting up on each other, seeing who can dig each other to keep it loose. And I was always a smart aleck in there, and so I've been around long enough that when Pete, I believe it was 1980s, his first year, but the year of the World Series, and he, I was razzing Pete. And he wasn't somebody that was real quick to get back to his that way, but he would just sit there and I don't know if some of the people can, the days of the daily newspapers and stuff, but every day the top 10 hitters in the sports section, or the top 10 hitters, the top 10 pitchers, ERA, was in the sports section every day, and then on Sundays, they had the big Sunday paper, and you had everybody's stats, the pitching, the hitting, and all that stuff. And I got in Pete's kitchen, and he said, let me tell you something, Rook, son. He says, the difference between you and I is I get to look up and see what my batting average is every day, because, he was always in the top 10 and hitting. He goes, but you got to wait till Sunday to look yours up. Meaning I was never in the top 10. That was kind of cute. How do you argue with that? You just put your head down and go back to your locker, or wish you'd never started that with him, right?
Yeah, one of the greatest hitters, that probably ever to play the game. And very, anyone that you hear stories about him, I think that illustrates it right there. Ultra competitive in his own right. Even in just a joking situation, he kind of, threw a zinger back at you. So that's
I got to hit him, and, I get to play with him and pitch against him. So that was a great honor.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I appreciate you sharing some of those personal stories. Now, you were quite a hitter. We're talking about Pete Rose. You were quite a hitter in your own right. You hit some home runs, including some big ones, and you spoke about it in the book that you really wanted to hit more, be a position player. If that would have happened, I know it's a weird question, but who would you compared yourself to if you could have focused just on being an everyday hitter, and what kind of numbers do you think maybe you were capable of putting up?
I don't want to be shy here. I was a great hitter.
Yeah.
It's funny. I just was inducted into the Sacramento Sports Hall of Fame Fame in January last year, and Dusty Baker was my, and he said, if it's Dusty Baker's, here's another cute little story. This was before Dusty was announced manager of the Astros, and after the cheating scandal and all that. And I asked Dusty Baker, he's from Sacramento, and we played on the Giants together. He would be my presenter of my Hall of Fame award, and God bless him, it was my honor for him to do it for me. But when he was talking about me, he said that he talked about my pitching a little bit. He goes, Randy Lerch could hit. I mean, he could hit, and he says, and he knew he could hit, and then he would tell you that he could hit. So basically, I'm telling you that I could really hit. And when I was drafted out of high school by the Phillies, I was the high school All-American hitter.
Yeah.
And I was all everything, and a really, really good hitter. And I was disappointed for not being drafted as a hitter, because it was my love.
Yeah.
I was a pretty good athlete, but what really was hard was I had no idea when as you and I were talking, when I was in that report to Auburn, New York, right next to Syracuse. I reported, and I don't know which game, but I was a starting pitcher, and they said, well, so I started my first game, and then I came back the next day, and I said, Coach, he says, okay, what position am I playing today? He said, the bench. I go, what do you mean the bench? I go, I can hit, man. I got to play every day. He goes, pitchers don't play every day. Starting pitchers play every 5 days, and relievers play when we put you in the game. And you asked what kind of a hitter I would. I would have been, a tremendous home run hitter, but I would have been like a Von Hayes, probably left-handed hitter that could run, and he had some pop too. So kind of a line drive hitter, gets the ball out of the ballpark. I was kind of like a Von Hayes.
Yeah, I remember him. He was a great hitter. So, yeah. Well, but you like you said, you still did, when you got your opportunities, you still did some damage on that side of the field, too. And, it just, I guess when you throw 95, 97, you sort of, you almost have to pitch, or they really lock you in to that side of the field. And
left-hander, left-handed pitcher. Well, Phillies need left-handers. Especially, in those days, I don't know how it is now, but left-handers were a commodity. I mean, teams are always looking for left-handers, but I had, so when I was traded from the Phillies to the Brewers, going from the National League to the American League, it just killed me. The pitchers don't hit.
Yeah.
But what happened was I was traded for a guy that I had a higher lifetime bat average than he did, and the papers made a big deal out of it. So Harvey King, the pitching coach, came to me right after I had reported the spring training and said, I heard you could hit. Would you mind staying after spring training in Sun City, Arizona, and would you mind and taking some bat practice so I can watch you swing?
Yeah.
And I said, sure. Well, I had swung a bat since, the end of the year before, and only, as a pitcher, and so, man, I was nervous and the whole bit, so I waited, and it was literally the greatest batting practice display I ever put on in my life. I couldn't believe it. I was hitting lasers to right center field, out of the ballpark, and to the point where Buck Rogers, the manager, called me in after I got done, and he goes, man, and he goes, that was pretty good. He goes, so good that I want you to start traveling with the team in spring training and as a pinch hitter. Well, I thought, what? Because when you're a starting pitcher, you only had to travel with the team every 5 days. So I really hosed myself. I had to make every trip. And then when the season started, Buck told me, he says, and he goes, Randy, I want you to take batting practice with the extra man before every game during the season. And that was great, but the extra men only get like 10, 15 minutes before every game on the road to hit, and it really upset my teammates because and I was hitting the ball a lot of times farther and better than they were, and so. But I got the pit. I remember hitting the ball in the upper deck in Detroit, and so my point is I got to take batting practice in some of the greatest old stadiums that baseball ever knew. That was a blessing. But after halfway through the season, I quit because it was just Buck didn't use me as a pinch hitter, and I was just making my teammates too upset with me.
You're showing them up a little bit. That's a great story, too. We're going to step away for a quick break, but more great stories from Randy Lerch when we return. We are back with former Major League pitcher Randy Lerch. So I know, like you said, with the pandemic, with travel, not a ton of travel going on. Do you keep in touch with or see any of your former teammates or even people you played against? Do you keep in contact with anybody?
I don't too much. When I went through this situation with my alcoholism and the cirrhosis, I literally had gone from 220 pounds to 170, and I didn't think I was going to live. So I went through many, many years of just really struggling. And once I started getting healthy again, and once I wrote the book, I've talked to more people, more ex-players, teammates than I ever have. Especially because before I lost my train of thought, when I was talking about promoting the book, the one way we promoted it was I promoted it and Hal Lerch did through Facebook, and so promoted it through Facebook, and I made it a point that anybody that read the book, or even if they wanted to talk to me, that I would write back on Messenger, and people just so they know that the audience or whoever you happen to talk to afterwards, John, you can get a hold of me on Facebook Messenger, and I'll be happy to talk to you. I've got over 2,600 friends that have asked for friends, and I read back every single one of them. And I also, a lot of people are struggling with addiction. Sometimes I'll spend a half a day talking to someone that's scuffling and stay in contact with them. I'm no expert, except that maybe I'm the best expert at all because I've lived it. And about players, I have been in touch with players that I had never thought I would. You say an old Mets fan. I played with Pat Zachary, the old Met, a great Met and a great pitcher, and he was in the senior professional league after we retired, and he was my teammate. I'm talking to Pat Zachary and some of the other guys. A guy that was on the old Auburn Phillies. When I was 18 years old, Herman Hayhill out of Puerto Rico. My goodness gracious, he even friended me. So I did for so many years, and now Bill Gullickson and people that have read the book, they're having their family members read it. This book has changed my life for such a positive way, John.
And not just and that's great, but I think it's gonna, and I think it probably has, and it will in the future impact others that can read it, or even if someone reads it and then can outreach and help someone else after reading the book indirectly. So there's a saying, I don't remember the exact words, but the greatest impact you can have is on somebody else, and I think this book is going to do that. I think even though your post-playing career, you're still having an impact in people's lives, and quite frankly, on a greater scale. I mean, you may be saving someone's life. That win or strikeout didn't necessarily save anyone's life, but your message might be the life-saving one. And so your post-baseball career is going to be just as significant and more significant than anything you've done on the field. And there's a lot of players, let's be honest, Randy, that can't say the same thing, but you can. And so kudos to you, for writing it, for being honest, putting it out there. Like you said, you didn't leave anything the chance. You didn't want to. You wanted to get your message out there, the whole truth. And I think by doing that, the impact on other people is going to be tremendous and positive. And like I said, if you make a difference in one person who's struggling with any form of addiction, that's worth it. It's worth it. And it's going to be more than one person. It probably has been more than one person and will be. So God bless you. Kudos for doing that and, making a difference.
Oh, thank you so much. You're exactly right, John. It has been above and beyond. It's hard to believe that, because I had gone through so much before this book, and as people will read about, I think it'll, like you said, it'll keep them on the edge of their seat. But there's some great baseball stories, and I want to be able to, a combination of the great baseball stories and what God's grace can do for you. And by me just getting out, I've started doing, speaking appearances and stuff like that, and explaining, what I went through and how much, again, God's grace can do for you, and how you should stay away from this. And it's definitely been above and beyond. Not only that, I'm still walking, buddy.
Yeah, that's where it has to start. So, again, kudos to you, Randy. A lot of, you can say what you want, and I'm sure people will say, well, he can blame himself. But irregardless of all that, you come out of that, and not give up, and be an example for others to not give up, to not throw in the towel, and keep fighting through it, or ask for help. That's the other thing that I took from the book, Randy's, hey, don't be afraid to ask for help. When you feel like you have no other option, reach out to someone. That may be the difference. And so that's another takeaway that someone who reads the book can point to. Like, there's no shame to ask, hey, I need some help. What can give me a hand here? And I think that's very important, in those times.
Well, you're right, John. It doesn't have to be drugs or alcohol.
Yep.
I mean, we all have our crosses to bear, and you know what? We all need each other, and for people to go out there, whatever it is, and they need help, and or help others.
Yeah.
And of course, it's a horrible time we're going through right now. I mean, if this doesn't change this world, nothing will. And just to get out there and to put it out there, and God's grace is good, buddy.
Yeah, no, I echo that sentiment. So Randy, like you said, you're very reachable. People can reach out to you, talk to you. I'm gonna give you the final word here. Anything you want to give out? How people can find out about the book, reach you, all that stuff. So the floor is yours.
Oh, thanks, my friend. I really enjoy still the people that collect the old cards and stuff. As I was telling you, I probably on average I get one letter a day. Yeah. Even after being out of the game for 35 years or whatever it is, and I love getting the letters. I can always tell if it's nothing against the millennials, but the old timers are the ones that will sit down and write a letter, and I just love that. And sometimes the guys will. The collectors will send an extra card and say, this card's for you. And I was telling you, I keep those cards and I give them to the underprivileged kids that don't have cards and stuff. And I just enjoy, getting that stuff from the guys. And you can get a hold of me. Please don't get crazy and send me 100 cards or something. But John, you'll have this, but it's 3450. Palmer, P-A-L-M, as in Matt, so P-A-L-M-E-R Drive. That's Suite 4-196, Cameron Park, C-A as in park as in the park.
Yep.
California, 95682. And also with the book, we have it in a Kindle version. It's also it's available on Amazon and Kindle. Just go. You can just a lot of times you can look up author Randy Lerch. A lot of times if you Google author Randy Lerch, man, there's some tons of articles and all kinds of fun stuff on there. And you can also go to Amazon. Just like you, John. If anyone out there reads the book and they enjoy it, please give a review. It's easy to be able to get the word out there. So again, Amazon and just send Randy Lerch at the Cameron Park location. I'd be happy to get the stuff out to everyone.
That's awesome, man. It to me that just shows the person you are, Randy. That you're willing to do that and help people. Just the measure of a man, and just tremendous.
Thank you so much, and just thank you to everyone out there for listening today to me.
Oh no.
There's more of them in the book.
Yeah.
Put in there about Tug McGraw too.
Yeah, and as someone who read the book, it's a great book. Like you said, there's plenty of baseball in there as well for the baseball purist. And I'll post links on all my social media for you as well, Randy. Get the word out there.
That sounds great. Really enjoyed talking with everyone. Talking with you, John. You did a great job, buddy.
It was an honor and privilege. Thank you, Randy. God bless you.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Let me tell you about Iron Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're your number one source for all your PSA grading submission needs. They're constantly submitting, so they are always at the ready when you're ready. They offer various turnaround levels at the lowest prices around. Cards are insured to and from PSA at no additional cost to you. And they even provide the card savers your precious cards need to be put in before being sent to PSA. They take care of that for you. And because of their elite status at PSA, they have some of the best turnaround times around. They even have group chats for each submission, so you know exactly where your status is on your cards. They have open dialogue and open communication. What are you waiting for? Contact Rob on Facebook on Iron Sports Card Group. That's Iron Sports Card Group on Facebook. Or get a hold of Rob on Twitter at Iron Sports Cards. All one word, at Iron Sports Cards. They'll take care of you. Rookie! Welcome to another edition of the Rookie Rollercoaster. We got two cards for you again this week, basketball and a hockey card. For basketball, we got Ja Morant, Prism Rookies, just the base, and the 2015-16 Connor McDavid Upper Deck Young Guns. Classic Young Guns there. One I'd like to own that somehow I don't, so that's on my bucket list, if you will. But both of these cards have shown some slight movement from the beginning of the year. Let's start with Ja's Prism Rookie. Currently, his raws go for about $50. His PSA 10s bring in $340. In January, the raws were $35, so $15 less, and the PSA 10s were at $200. So now they're $140 more for graded 10 versions, which is, I don't want to say surprising, but considering that they're not on the court playing, that's a pretty good percentage jump. What do I attribute it to? I think people are sold that he's the real deal in the with the sample size they got, which I agree. And there's many who are in the camp that Ja Morant's going to be better than Zion Williamson. Now, they're different type of players, obviously. A lot of that was being said when Ja was sidelined with injury. That quieted down a little bit when Ja returned and was playing real well. But I think they're both incredible talents. I think the NBA, if this is the future of the NBA, these two guys, they're in good hands. So I think, with Ja or with Zion, as long as Zion, it's the old adage, stays healthy, which you could say about any player, quite frankly. But, Ja's definitely a guy, if you want to use the term invest, put some away, I would say. So, yeah, I think Ja's a safe bet, especially this early in his career. Barring an injury or a total collapse, his stuff's going to go up, especially once basketball returns and he gets to showcase his skill set. So, Ja's a buy to me, even now with a little rise since January. Now, let's switch over to the ice. Connor McDavid, 2015-16 Upper Deck Young Guns. Let's start in January. In January, they were selling raw for about $200, and in graded 10 form for about $590 on average. So, 200 raw, $590 10, which translates to me. I didn't do it, but hey, if you could buy a few raw ones, nice at 200, it's definitely a flip opportunity there if that's your thing. Currently, they've went up about $100. Currently, the market's bearing about $300 for raw McDavid Young Guns, and in graded 10 form, average median sale price $550. So that this is kind of odd. The average graded 10 price went down by $40. The raw price went up by about $100. I'm not sure why. Maybe just the fact that people want to take a chance, spend a little bit less, get it in unslabbed form, and again, with all these return policies, it's very easy to, you buy something like that and you don't like it, you can always dispute the transaction or request a refund or return. So raws are up by $100 and 10s are down by $40. I think the lack of on ice play, obviously with COVID-19, has hurt the price for the graded 10 McDavids. But again, like anything else, once they get back to playing, again, this is another card that I think long term is going to be very good to have. I think I hate to use this comparison because he's the greatest probably hockey player ever, but McDavid probably is our modern day closest thing to Gretzky that we've seen in a long time. So when it comes to young gun Connor McDavid, like Jim Cramer would say, bye, bye, bye. One of One Card Shop offers a tremendous breaking experience, great customer service, and they're constantly pulling fire. Steve and his family take care of you like one of their own and treat you right. Anyone can break, but no one treats you like One of One. Come check them out on Instagram at one_of_one_card_shop. For all the hot breaks, get a gold mailer headed your way.
John, you seem like an astute man.
Thank you, Mr. Walken.
Maybe you can help explain something to me.
Well, I'll give it my best shot. All right, so this week's question comes from the Flick Chat board, the Flick Chat app, I should say. By the way, if you have the Flick Chat app or you're going to get it, make sure you follow Sports Card Nation. Look for us in there. And this question comes from that platform and that format. And a user named Carlos asked me my opinion out of other than the four major sports, what is the best other collectible card? In other words, and he mentioned wrestling, soccer, UFC, and something else that I don't have in front of me at the moment. So he mentioned like four other non-mainstream sports, if you will, although some will argue the one that I picked is mainstream. But so he asked me which one of those is the best to buy and open and maybe come out okay and do all right and on the secondary market, if you will. So I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to give you my answer. I think it's correct, but at the same time, I don't know much about this sport, and I know some of the stuff really goes for decent amount of monies. I know there's some premium, Prism products of it. I think it's soccer, and while I'm not a fan, I know some of the soccer on the secondary market does very well. I know you got your big stars, Ronaldo's and those guys. And then I guess the current flavor of the month, if you will, is Mbappe. I think that's how you say his name. I don't even know. So a lot of these guys have like just one name, like they're Madonna.
Hey now.
But while I don't know enough to go into individual stuff or products or buy this over that, which I can't tell you, I do know soccer does pretty well just from my carousing on eBay and other platforms and buying the mainstream sports. And so I've never really been a soccer guy. And, I do a lot of reselling, with my Newman sports card side of things. And if I have a flaw, self confession here, there's a lot of times I probably could buy something and just resell it and make a profit. And I don't, or ignore it just because I don't have an interest or I don't know anything about it. Not necessarily good. It probably should just, anytime you can kind of fund yourself with a reason, you should put your personal feelings aside and just do that. And I don't. To me, when I deal in something or sell something or work out a trade with a product or cards, it's got to be something I have an interest in. I know I could buy soccer and probably flip it, and I probably should in certain situations, but I just feel like, I don't know. Again, it's a character flaw. I'm not even, I should do it. I just don't. I just like dealing in stuff I have knowledge in, a background in, and soccer is not my forte, as they say. But I will say this, I do know it's doing fairly well. Many would argue it might be doing better than even hockey or football. I don't agree, but it to me it's the fifth one, if you will. It's baseball, basketball, football, hockey, and probably soccer is next on that list. So if you like soccer, or if you have an interest, or you want to put in the work and research, I think that's the next on the list, if you will, which is what Carlos is asking me. You won't be competing against me. I don't know much about it, and I just kind of I don't get off on that exit. So.
Alrighty then.
We love our listeners. Without you, there is no us. We care about your opinions and feedback and invite you to reach out to us on any of our social media accounts. On Instagram at Sports Card Nation Podcast, Twitter at SportsCardNati1, or email the show at sportscardnationpc@gmail.com. We don't ask for much, but if you really like the show, give us a shout out. Tell your friends or give us a follow on our social medias. If you enjoy the show, please give us a positive review on iTunes or any of the platforms you are listening on. Thank you.
All right, folks, that does it for another episode of SCN. Again, I want to thank my guest, Randy Lerch. What a great interview, sharing some of those behind-the-scenes baseball stories. He's an example, folks, of perseverance. No matter how far those chips are down, whatever you believe in, find some inner strength, ask for help. That's another thing I learned from Randy and reading his book is don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help. It may be, your last resort, but it may be a huge difference maker. And now, he's a survivor and he's clean and sober, and now he's helping other people. And if you're fit that bill, pay it forward, help others. Even if you don't fit that bill, help your fellow man, especially with what's going on currently with the pandemic. I know we're supposed to social distance, and you should do that. I'm not telling you to go against that, but help somebody. If you have a neighbor, maybe an elderly person, you want to leave a meal at their doorstep, ring their bell so they can have something to eat, or just check on them. A phone call. I said this a couple of episodes back. Reach out and just call somebody that maybe you haven't talked to in a while. See how they're doing. That phone call might brighten up their whole day and their whole outlook on things. Sometimes with things like this, people get depressed, and their thoughts aren't great. And that phone call, that wellness check might be the difference in somebody's life. And so don't take that for granted. Don't belittle it too much. Be a difference maker in someone's life, including your own family. So again, I hope everyone's doing okay as we move forward, and hopefully we're getting closer to the end of this thing than not, and we can get some normalcy back. Although I have a feeling, we're going to have sort of a new normal even after this pandemic has come and gone. I think some things are going to be permanently different, but we'll see. We'll see where the chips fall. Keep going, keep pushing forward. If you enjoy the show, and I hope you do, and if you're listening, you might give us a positive review on Apple Podcasts or whatever platform you listen to. We appreciate it. Costs nothing to do that. We appreciate it. It goes a long way. It kind of gets the word out there, lets others know, hey, this show's pretty good. I know we got I don't check it every day. Last I knew, we got, I believe, somewhere around 80 reviews on Apple Podcasts and a 4.7 out of 5 rating. But if you like the show, take a few minutes and give us a review, and we appreciate it. So again, thank you. Be well. We'll see you here next week with Rob Bertrand from Go GTS Live.
You've been listening to the Sports Card Nation podcast. Join host John Newman next week as he gives you another jam-packed episode of all things related to the sports card hobby. And a little extra fun, too. Don't forget to check out the show on Instagram at Sports Card Nation Podcast.